The Earth Luna's Vow. A Werewolf Shifter Romance Audiobook. Written by Clara. Chapter 1. The faint, sharp tang of cedar oil and stale, dominant male pheromones always made Alara's stomach clench. It was a physical reaction, a subtle warning sign her body refused to ignore. She didn't know what scared her more, the crushing authority of the pack, or the terrifying, hidden truth in her heart. Her hands, small and trembling, gripped the silver serving tray tighter. The silver felt cold and heavy deep down. She knew the truth. She was Alpha Roan's fated mate, but that knowledge was her burden. Roan had coldly rejected her years ago, which meant her human frailty had made her inadequate, worthless, in his powerful golden eyes. In the quiet that followed, Alara moved through the massive, echoing Silverwood Hall. It felt like a museum of male dominance, yet she felt a strange, humming comfort near the throne of the Silverwood pack, a throne of wood, yet it feels like solid stone, she whispered. Polishing the dark, rough wood. Truth be told, she felt more connected to the inanimate wood than to any living soul. As the wind shifted, bringing the cold, damp scent of the forest, Alara paused. Maybe it was fate, but the memory of her grandmother's words, humans were placed on Earth to be the heart of the world, always gave her a quiet strength. Moments later, the mood shattered. Roan strode in his presence was a shockwave of predatory authority. His golden eyes held a subtle, dangerous edge of fear. Today, Alara, his voice was curt, clipped. Alpha, she replied, her voice a near whisper. Despite that carefully controlled exterior, deep down, she knew the truth. He was terrified. The preparations for the Luna introduction must be perfect. No dust, no errors, he stated. Instead of moving away, a question slipped past her. Are the beta patrols sufficient, Alpha? I heard noises near the western borders last night. Roan stopped cold. His head turned slowly. His golden eyes locked onto hers, a searing connection. The moment their eyes locked, the mate bond flared, a terrifying, sweet jolt. You worry about border security? Roan scoffed. Worry about the shine on that floor. Leave the wolf business to the wolves, because your concerns are irrelevant here. He walked toward his throne. After that, he settled onto the ancient wood. Chapter 2. In the quiet that followed, Alara resumed her dusting. Not only that, his rejection still stung because his dismissal felt like a dismissal of the land itself. Meanwhile, the hall doors opened, and Lyra swept in. Her scent was synthetic. Alpha Roan, darling. Is the hall ready for the great moment? It is, Roan responded, his tone professional. Truth be told, Roan felt a cold dread whenever Lyra was near. What followed was a long, intricate dialogue. We must ensure this ceremony solidifies our alliances, Lyra purred. We need to remind them that true strength lies in lineage and wealth, not sentimentality. Then, Lyra noticed Alara. Oh, that girl is still polishing? Your scent is a bit earthy, she laughed, a high, brittle sound. Roan, without warning, shifted on the throne. Yet he said nothing to defend Alara. Instead, he simply said, the Alpha is preoccupied, Lyra. But then, Lyra pressed her advantage. Alpha, the elders are asking why your beta, Jax, is still showing such deference to her, the human. Roan's jaw hardened. Jax follows orders, nothing more. Moments later, Lyra smiled. Good, because today, that human must understand her place. I want her kneeling before me, swearing fealty. I want every single pack member to witness the Alpha's final, absolute choice. Alara's hands went icy cold. Kneeling? Lyra left in that moment. Roan's internal struggle was palpable. He despised himself for the humiliation. Alpha, Alara said, turning back, her voice low but steady. What exactly is the throne of the Silverwood pack? Roan looked at her, truly seeing her. It is a symbol, Alara, nothing more, because strength comes from blood, not old wood. To make things worse, he lied, and she knew it. Chapter 3. That night, the hall was bathed in moonlight. Alara crept through the kitchens, but then, a shadow detached itself from the pantry wall. Alara, a low, familiar voice murmured. It was Jax. Jax. You shouldn't be here, Alara whispered. I came to warn you, they will try to break you. Truth be told, Jax didn't care about politics because of that. He saw the truth Roan was blinded to. Why are you warning me? Alara asked. What followed was a heavy sigh from Jax. I don't hate you, more importantly. I know what's true. I was with Roan when he got the first vision. Years ago he saw you before the throne. Bathed in earthfire, Roan dismissed it as a fever dream, and, just like that, he began his plan for a political Luna. As the silence stretched, Alara realized the full weight of her heritage, Earth Luna. At the same time, Jax explained the mythology. The throne recognizes the mate bonded to the soil, that's why Roan fears it. His choice is a violation. Why did he reject me then, if he knew? He was terrified, Jax admitted, because the power of an Earth Luna is uncontrolled. He chose the safe path. With every heartbeat, Alara felt anger mixed with pity. Suddenly, a sound outside. A heavy shift, followed by a clatter. It's the patrol. Lyra is escalating, but then, there's something else, something faster than our wolves. The moment their eyes locked, Jax pushed Alara toward the hidden door. You need to be near the forest, go. I will distract them. In the span of a breath, Jax shoved her through the door and turned, a low, powerful growl rising in his throat. Chapter 4. As the wind shifted, carrying the metallic scent of wolf blood, Alara ran. She felt it clear as day, a primal sense of orientation pulling her toward the deepest part of the forest. Not only that, the soil beneath her feet felt alive. She had to trust this pull now, but then a human voice close. Look at this girl, running right into our trap. Two massive, dark-furred shifters materialized. Stop right there, little human, one growled. Without thinking, Alara turned and faced them as if summoned. She held out her hands, a primal plea to the ground. What followed was an astonishing display. The massive roots of a nearby oak tree rose like snakes from the ground, wrapping tightly around the rogue's ankles. What is this magic? One shifter roared. It's not magic, Alara breathed, it's the vow. But then, the second rogue tore himself free. He shifted, a massive, gray wolf, and lunged. Before she could move, a blur of dark fur, faster than anything she had ever seen, slammed into the rogue. It was a massive black wolf, its eyes a piercing, familiar gold. It was Roan. The air thickened, charged with battle. Roan's movements were fluid, deadly. The battle was short, brutal, and vivid. The rogue was disabled. Roan, panting, turned his golden gaze on Alara. The moment their eyes locked, the mate bond pulsed, a blinding heat. He had seen her power. Chapter 5. In the quiet that followed, Roan slowly, deliberately, shifted back to his human form. His golden eyes, still primal and wide, were fixed on Alara. You, he growled, low and raw, you control the earth. Alara's breath caught. The vow the forest protects itself, she whispered, because she was terrified of his next move. He took a step toward her, but then he stopped, his fists clenching tight. You will come with me now, this stays secret. Instead of obeying, Alara stood her ground. You want me to submit to Lyra, the woman who hired these rogues? That's why I need answers, alpha, not commands. What followed was the heaviest silence the forest had ever held. Soon after, they walked back. The succession ceremony was underway. Lyra shrieked as Roan entered, Alara silently following. Roan. Why is she here? Silence, Roan commanded. With a single glance at Alara, Roan's eyes conveyed a stark command. Do this, and I will keep your secret. What followed was the moment of final, public betrayal. Alara, Roan stated, his voice heavy with self-loathing, come forward and pledge your fealty to your new Luna, Lyra. Alara's heart skipped as the silence roared. She slowly dropped to her knees on the cold, unforgiving stone. But then, everything changed. Chapter 6. As Alara knelt, a low, guttural vibration surged through the silverwood hall. The light seemed to dim. Lyra shrieked, jumping back. Roan. What is this curse? Stop it. Roan moved, intending to touch the throne, but then, a thin, green-gold energy slammed into Roan without warning. He was thrown back, his authority instantly rendered null. The pack gasped again. Meanwhile, the colossal wooden throne began to tilt. It moved with impossible, earth-shaking effort. With every heartbeat, the massive seat slowly, impossibly, bowed forward, hovering directly behind the kneeling Alara. Just like that, everything changed. Alara felt the earthy power rush into her. Lyra shrieked again, pure, venomous jealousy. But then, the Gamma Elder dropped his helmet. The vow is awakened, it has chosen the protector, the Alpha's choice is void. Roan, still dazed, crawled closer to Alara. What have you done? I did nothing, Alpha, the vow simply corrected your mistake. Chapter 7. Roan's humiliation was absolute, as if the world narrowed. Every face was fixed on his defeat. Deep down, he knew the truth. The vow had affirmed Alara was his fated mate. Because of that, his pride felt like a physical agony. Meanwhile, Lyra lunged toward Alara, but then, Alara simply raised her hand. A shimmering, green-gold aura pulsed from her fingertips, pushing Lyra back with relentless, invisible force. What followed was the official decree: the Silverwood Pack will submit to a trial of leadership. The terms were harsh. They would rule in enforced proximity for one lunar cycle. More importantly, they would fail if either leader faltered. Roan saw the trap. I will not share my authority with a servant. Instead, Alara stood up. You have already been judged by the only authority higher than your blood. Roan, the question isn't whether I am fit to rule, she said, her voice clear and strong, but whether you are still worthy to defend a pack that rejected your pride. I accept the trial. Before either could speak again, Lyra and her father were removed. Roan's golden eyes blazed, but then, Jax stepped between them. Alpha, Jax said quietly, your room is adjacent to the Luna's quarters. Chapter 8. Come morning, the rising sun cast long, judging shadows across the Luna's quarters. Alara was no longer the servant girl. She was the Earth Luna, but then, she wasn't alone. The moment their eyes locked, the tension was a physical ache. Roan looked restless, dangerous, and deeply resentful. This arrangement is a farce, Roan stated, his voice flat. A civilian whose safety the entire pack now relies on, Alpha, Alara countered. What followed was a sharp, tense exchange defining their new, forced coexistence. We have rules, Roan said. My physical territory is the outer perimeter. Your spiritual territory is this wing. You will not interfere with my patrol movements. And you will respect the vow, Alara retorted. Roan scoffed. The earth doesn't speak. Alara, only weakness does. Meanwhile, Alara opened the Luna's ledger. She felt it clear as day, the power humming beneath her fingers. Not only that, the book was protected before she could move. Roan was beside her, his scent overwhelming. What is this? He demanded. It's not for you, Alara said simply. It's written in the language of the vow, because it speaks to the heart, not the blood. Roan's proximity was unbearable. The air thickened with unacknowledged desire. Even so, Roan stepped back immediately. Chapter 9. Despite that forced peace, the tension in the hall grew worse. Roan's internal flaw, his pride, made him overcompensate. Because of that, he was brittle and prone to snapping. Meanwhile, Alara was lost in the ledger. Suddenly, a new conflict emerged. Maeve, the healer, confronted Roan. Alpha. The hunting grounds near the Whispering Ridge are barren. Your aggressive patrols have chased the medicinal plants away. But then, Alara intervened. The ledger forewarns against this, Alpha. Alara stated, the Whispering Ridge is the sacred nursery of the Earth. Lunas, your scent markings have tainted the soil. That's why the life force has retreated. What followed was the first command of the Earth Luna. Alara pointed to a forgotten patch of land. The remedy you seek, the sunbetel herb, grows here, in a small, hidden grove of pure balance. You missed it because your eyes are only focused on the fighting. Roan's face was a mask of cold fury. Beta Jax, Roan commanded, his voice strained. Verify the Luna's suggestion. In the span of a breath, Jax left. With every heartbeat, Alara stood resolute. Roan stood a few feet away, radiating silent, murderous frustration. You think a book makes you a strategist? Roan whispered, you have power over dirt. Alara, I have power over life and death. The tension broke only when Jax returned, his eyes wide. Alpha, Luna, she was right. The grove is rich. It's a miracle. Chapter 10. That night, the scent of sunpetal herb filled the Luna's quarters. Roan found he couldn't stand the smell. It was too tempting. Not only that, his wolf was pacing inside his skin as her wolf stirred. Roan felt an immense pull. Why her? Why now? Without thinking, he walked to her door and placed his hand on the cold wood. Then, a low, hesitant whisper from inside, Roan. What followed was a dialogue heavy with subtext. "I heard you pacing," Alara murmured. "I'm unsettled, Alara," Roan confessed, the admission costing him severely. "You humiliated me today. You fear chaos, Alpha, but the chaos is already here. You brought it when you chose power over the vow." Roan closed his eyes, leaning his forehead against the door. "I didn't choose power, Alara, I chose survival. My father's death taught me that love is a vulnerability that destroys the pack. I cannot risk that again. I cannot love you." As the silence stretched, Alara's soft voice returned. "I understand your fear, Roan, but the vow doesn't demand love, it demands truth. If you want to survive this trial, you must allow me to rule my territory." With every heartbeat, Roan felt the truth of her words settle. "Fine," he rasped, pushing off the door. "You govern the spirit, I govern the walls. But Alara, if you falter, I will end the trial myself and I will cast you out." Chapter 11. Come morning, the pressure on Roan was a suffocating weight. The air thickened with his stress. But then, his wolf instincts were screaming, even though his physical senses found nothing. Not only that, the patrol scouts kept returning with minor, but irritating injuries. Without warning, he encountered a clear sign buried beneath the earth. He found a small, meticulously carved wooden talisman. It was from Lyra's clan. Just like that, everything changed. What followed was the realization Lyra was sabotaging the pack from afar. Because of that, his patrols were being systematically injured. He returned to the hall, tired and furious. He stalked into the Luna's quarters. As the silence roared, he threw the tainted talisman onto the desk. "This is your domain, Luna," he bit out, using the formal title like a weapon. "Lyra is infecting the boundary. She is using dark earth magic against my men. My strength is useless against this subtle poison. That's why you will tell me how to stop it." Alara looked up, her eyes widening slightly. Instead, she picked up the wood and instantly recoiled. "It is hatred made physical," Alara whispered. "She is corrupting the soil. Only the Heartwood throne can cleanse this." Chapter 12. The moment their eyes locked over the poison talisman, the atmosphere shifted. Alara knew Roan's request was a huge concession. "The throne alone isn't enough," Alara explained. "I need to know exactly how Lyra's family marks their territory to nullify it." What followed was hours of agonizing, close-quarters study. "Lyra's father's clan uses the symbol of the cracked moon," Roan murmured, his breath warm against her ear. As the wind shifted, their shoulders brushed. The air thickened with the scent of their combined heat. But then, Alara located the counter-ritual. "The ritual demands the Alpha and the Luna perform the binding together," Alara said, her voice catching. "I won't do it," Roan stated immediately, backing away. His golden eyes blazed with conflict. "This isn't about sentimentality, Alpha. This is about survival," Alara retorted, standing up quickly with every heartbeat. Her frustration boiled over. "You fear chaos so much that you choose destruction instead." Roan lunged, not in anger, but in desperate, terrifying desire. He caged her against the desk, his voice trembled with raw, unacknowledged hunger. "Don't you think I know what you are?" he growled. "Every time you breathe, my wolf screams for you. I cannot love you. I cannot risk the vulnerability, but then, the vow has already chosen. I am trapped." "Then let the vow protect the pack," Alara whispered, the words a challenge, "and let the Earth Luna lead you to the site. Are you strong enough to follow?" Before the words left her lips, Roan nodded. Chapter 13. That night, the moon was dark, cloaked in heavy cloud. Roan led Alara deep into the shadowed, tainted territory. The Heartwood forest was unnaturally quiet. The physical obstacle was immediately apparent. The corruption was strongest at the boundary center. Without thinking, Roan scooped Alara up into his arms, holding her against his chest as fire bloomed beneath her skin. Alara silently wrapped her arms around his neck. The space between them burned. What followed was the performance of the binding ritual. Roan knelt beside her, placing his hands next to hers in the cold, infected mud as if pulled by a string. Their fingers interlocked accidentally beneath the soil. The moment their eyes locked, the mate bond exploded, a physical shockwave. Roan's golden eyes blazed with primal need. "You must focus, Alpha," she breathed, trying to ignore the heat. "I am focused," he growled back, his voice thick, "focused on the one thing I shouldn't want." Instead of withdrawing, Ilara intensified the ritual. A powerful, clean green light pulsed from the ground. Then came the plot twist as the corruption cleared. A message surged through the mate bond and directly into Roan's mind. The Gamma Elder, Lyra's father, had been selling Silverwood's boundary markers for months. Roan stared at Ilara, his initial resentment completely eclipsed by furious shame. "We have to return," Roan said, his voice flat, but his grip on her hand was crushing. "Lyra's family is not just a rival. Ilara, they are the enemy. The trial is now a war." Chapter 14. Come morning, the mood in the Silverwood Hall was electric. Roan felt the truth of the betrayal like a lead weight. His golden eyes blazed with cold, focused fury. He didn't know what scared him more, the discovery of the deep treachery or the absolute certainty that his survival hinged entirely on Ilara. Without warning, he slammed the talisman onto the central table. "This is a war for the very ground we stand on. Lyra's family has been selling our borders. That's why I was blind. I chose the instrument of destruction over the VOW's protector." What followed was the official declaration of war and Roan's definitive commitment. But then, the VOW acted. Roan continued, turning to look directly at Ilara. "The Earth Luna found the corruption where my warriors failed. Because of that, I am issuing a new command. Ilara is officially recognized as the VOW's emissary. Her word concerning the land is law. Any defiance will be treated as high treason." The moment their eyes locked, Ilara saw the subtle, profound shift in him. "And your role, Alpha?" she asked. "My role is the fist," Roan stated. "I will run the defense, but I will do so based on the Council of the Luna's ledger. She leads the strategy. I execute the defense." But then, one elder challenged the decision. "Alpha, the mate bond is now active. You are bound to her." "I am bound by the will of the VOW. Not only that, the mate bond demands our unity. We move as one, or we fall as dust." Chapter 15. That night, the stress left Ilara exhausted and vulnerable. With every heartbeat, she felt the physical strain of the VOW. Without warning, the door opened, and Roan entered. He carried broth and a dark blanket. The air thickened with his scent, mingled with a soft concern. He sat beside her on the couch. Instead of arguing, Ilara accepted the broth. What followed was a quiet, intense dialogue. "When you were kneeling," Roan murmured, "I wanted to destroy everything. I didn't know what scared me more, failing as Alpha or admitting that you're small. Quiet strength was greater than all my brute force." "You feared losing control," Ilara whispered. "The Earth Luna doesn't control the land. She listens to it. Because of that, she must be soft and receptive, not hard." He took the empty bowl and placed his hand on her forehead, his touch unexpectedly gentle. The moment their eyes locked, his golden eyes held pain and dawning understanding. As fire bloomed beneath her skin, the mate bond surged. But then Roan pulled his hand back, his jaw tight. "We have secured the inner pack," Roan rasped, changing the subject. "But Lyra's Gamma family is sending a final, massive strike force. They will attack the Heartwood Forest, the source of your power, before the next full moon." Ilara knew the stakes had escalated. "Then we need a defense. They won't expect." The Luna's ledger speaks of the Silent Vow, a ritual performed only by the Alpha and the Luna at the heart of the forest. He stared at her, his voice rough with acceptance. "Then we will perform the Silent Vow just like that. It's settled." Chapter 16. Despite that commitment, the war against Lyra's family was pressing. Roan was running on pure alpha adrenaline. At the same time, Lyra made her final, vicious play. She leaked a rumor. Ilara was using the throne to subjugate the Alpha. The rising stakes demanded a risky public defense. Roan gathered the warriors, visibly agitated by the rumors. "I hear your whispers. You believe the Earth Luna is controlling me." Then came the plot twist. Roan walked to Ilara. He grabbed her wrist and brought her scent mark to his own neck, deliberately scenting her in front of everyone. As fire bloomed beneath her skin, Ilara gasped. Roan's golden eyes blazed with challenging intensity. "I am Roan, Alpha of the Silverwood Pack. The mate bond is ancient, sacred, and absolute. I am not controlled. I am bound by the will of the VOW. Because of that, I am stronger. If you defy her, you defy my choice of the VOW. Do you understand?" But then a warrior asked, "Alpha, if you accept the bond, why did you reject her years ago?" Roan's confession was raw. I rejected her because my pride was afraid of the chaos that follows true love. I was a coward now. I choose truth. I choose the Earth. Luna. Without warning, a scout burst in. Alpha. Lyra's army. They are heading straight for the Heartwood Forest. They plan to burn the source of the vow before dawn. Chapter 17. As the sky darkened, the Silverwood territory erupted into chaos. Alara felt the attack with her whole body, but then, fear didn't paralyze her. Roan was a terrifying, beautiful machine of war. Luna and I must reach the center. If they burn the Heartwood, we all fall. What followed was a desperate, breathless race. The air thickened with the approaching scent of the enemy. Without warning, they hit the first wave of rogues. Roan's fighting was magnificent and terrifying, but then, the rogues were too many. They were fighting to delay. To make things worse, the rogues were using cursed talismans. Roan was forced to shift back to defend Alara from one. The moment their eyes locked, his golden eyes flashed. Hurry. As the bond pulsed, Alara channeled the Earth Vow. A section of thorny vines erupted, tripping the rogues. Roan looked at her, respect warring with exhaustion. Faster, Alara. I can't hold them much longer. Chapter 18. They reached the center of the Heartwood Forest, the sacred site. But then, they were intercepted. Lyra and her massive Gamma father stepped out. Too late, Alpha, Lyra hissed, holding up a torch. The vow dies now. Roan felt it, clear as day, the crushing weight of failure. Because of that, he knew he couldn't win this fight alone. Alara, Roan commanded, shifting into his massive black wolf. One last time, the ritual. Start the silent vow. I will buy you at the last minute. What followed was a ferocious, utterly desperate defense. The betrayal was complete. Roan was hit, viciously, repeatedly. The space between them burned with his agony. The descent. All seems lost. Roan fell, cornered. Lyra stood over him. Look at your alpha, human. Lyra screamed. The vow is silent. You failed. Alara's voice trembled, the chance failing. She didn't know what scared her more, the sight of Roan's broken body or the terrifying silence of the Earth Vow. In that moment, he projected one final, agonizing thought through the mate bond. Forgive me, Luna. Protect the pack. Leave me. Chapter 19. Alara's heart skipped a beat, a break of sheer agony. Roan's silent plea was the ultimate sacrifice, but then, it was too late. Lyra stepped toward the ancient root system, preparing to torch the Heartwood. As the silence stretched, Alara closed her eyes, letting the tears fall. She let go of the ritual words. She simply allowed the profound, devastating grief and love to flow into the earth. What followed was the crucial internal breakthrough. As her wolf stirred, she heard her grandmother's voice. The Earth Luna doesn't command the vow. She is the vow. The pact needs truth and sacrifice. The truth unraveled. The silent vow was an act of Alpha Luna unity proven through sacrifice. Just like that, everything changed. Alara stopped grieving. She walked to Roan, kneeling beside his broken, magnificent black wolf form. Without another word, she closed her eyes and projected her will, her love, into the ground, directly through him. Chapter 20. As the truth unraveled inside Alara, a terrifying, serene calm settled over her. She was kneeling beside Roan's defeated form. Lyra shrieked, advancing with the torch. You're too late, human. The pact is dead. But then, Alara opened her eyes. They were alight with the green-gold fire of the vow. Her voice trembled, but carried authority. The vow is not dead, Lyra. It is absolute, Alara declared. Without another word, Alara pressed her will into the ground. What followed was an astonishing display. The earth beneath Lyra and her Gamma father began to writhe. The roots rose like 1,000 slow, silent hands. Lyra shrieked, her voice laced with terror. She was unable to shift. Meanwhile, Alara's concentration was total. Not only that, she was simultaneously using the Earth Vow to cleanse and heal Roan's black wolf form. As the bond pulsed, a wave of green-gold energy flowed into him. She felt it clear as day, the immense effort of binding the pure bloodline. Just like that, everything changed. Lyra and her father were violently ejected from the forest boundary, forever barred from returning. The war was over. Chapter 21. In the quiet that followed, Roan shifted back to his human form, Feeling the miraculous surge of healing energy, Alara slumped against the ancient roots. Roan crawled to her, shame and awe warring in his chest. "Alara," he rasped, gently cupping her face, "you saved us, you healed me." What followed was the emotional resolution of their conflict. "The trial is over, Alpha," Alara whispered. "You sacrificed your safety for the vow. You chose truth over pride. You are redeemed." "I was wrong," Roan stated. "I will never reject you again. I will submit my Alpha designation to the elders, and we will rule only under the authority of the Earth Luna." But then Alara shook her head. "No, Roan, the vow demands balance. The pack needs the Alpha's strength and the Luna's wisdom. Not only that, you are my mate, and your place is beside me, not beneath me." She reached up and gently touched his cheek as fire bloomed beneath her skin. The action was a declaration of love and equality. With a single glance, Roan pulled her into a fierce, protective embrace, a kiss of absolute belonging. His growl rose in his throat, a deep, rumbling purr. Chapter 22. Despite that moment of profound intimacy, the larger pack was still in danger. Roan quickly separated. Meanwhile, Alara, though weak, formulated the final plan. They burst into the hall, the sight of Roan, unharmed, dominant, and scented with Alara's earth energy, stopped the fighting. "The war is won. Lyra and her father are banished by the Earth Vow," Roan roared. But then, Alara stepped forward. "The greatest wound is not physical. That's why we must heal the divide. The throne of the Silverwood pack will prove the truth." She walked to the throne. Roan followed. Alara placed her hands on the heartwood as if fate demanded it. The wood vibrated. She spoke of the future. The throne bowed because it recognized that strength is not a single form. "We need the Alpha's courage and the Luna's wisdom. We are unified now." What followed was the final show of unity. Roan turned to Jax and embraced him, acknowledging the risks Jax had taken. Just like that, everything changed. The pack was unified by a shared, sacred truth. Chapter 23. Come morning, the sun shone clean and bright. The battle was over, but the final, profound climax, the resolution of the broken mate bond, was yet to occur. Alara stood before the throne of the Silverwood pack. It stood upright, solid. She felt it, clear as day, the quiet dignity of the land finally at peace. Roan walked in, his golden eyes filled with absolute devotion. "The trial is officially concluded." He walked to her, stopping inches away. Instead of taking his place on the throne, Roan dropped to both knees before Alara, his head bowed. "Luna," he rasped, "I broke you. I let my fear of chaos almost destroy us. That's why I kneel here now as a mate submitting to his heart." Alara's heart skipped, a soaring joy the moment their eyes locked. The mate bond surged. "Your pride is gone, Roan," Alara whispered. "That is all the vow ever required, because redemption is the truest form of Alpha strength." She helped him rise. Just like that, everything changed. "We will rule together," Alara declared, "the Alpha and the Earth Luna, the fist and the heart." Not only that, the vow demands a union built on equality, not dominance. Roan nodded, a fierce, happy growl rising in his throat. "I am yours, Luna. My strength defends your truth." Chapter 24. In the quiet that followed, the Silverwood pack began to transition. Roan was leading his warriors to rebuild. Meanwhile, Alara sat near the throne, her voice now guiding the pack. Roan knelt beside her. He was lighter now, his commands clearer. But then, the most poignant resolution came from Jax. "Luna," Jax said, bowing low, "you proved that true strength is found in humility, not fear." Alara and Roan then addressed the elders. Together they proposed a new system. All major defense decisions must be ratified by both the Alpha and the Luna. The throne would now be known as the Throne of Unity. In the span of a breath, the elders approved. That night, Roan and Alara stood together in the eastern wing. Roan reached for her, his touch possessive but tender. "No more separate rooms, Luna," Roan murmured, his voice thick with devotion. "The silent vow made us one. The pack needs us anchored together." As fire bloomed beneath her skin, Alara knew he was right. Without another word, she leaned into him. 2 years later, the Silverwood pack was thriving. The Throne of Unity stood at the center, firm and silent. Alara sat on a cushioned bench near the throne. Roan walked in, his golden eyes softer now. He knelt beside her, handing her a small, heartwood rattle. He is sleeping soundly, Luna, Roan murmured, the quiet awe of fatherhood in his voice. Alara smiled. She held the ultimate symbol of their union, their son, Caleb, who smelled of earth, pine, and absolute future. Roan covered her hand with his grip firm and loving. You are the source of all our worth. Alara, you are the heart of our world. As fire bloomed beneath her skin, their shared love was the pack's quiet, strong foundation. Just like that, everything changed. The Earth. Luna had not only saved the Silverwood pack, she had saved its soul. The end. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel for more heartfelt werewolf shifter audio romance stories.